right, Phillies fans, welcome to the Fighting Spinal, the Phillies postgame show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy Matty B on the call. You might remember me from about 35 seconds ago hosting the Birds Flyby, the Eagles postgame. Well, now we're moving on to bigger and better business. Phillies tonight, 9-1 winners over the Minnesota Twins out there in Minnesota. Maybe it was the Field of Dreams. Maybe the corn dust, whatever, is sprinkled off on the Phillies because they found their offensive groove against the Minnesota Twins tonight, bounding out 9 runs, aided by a hell of a 7th run, 4th inning, and a 5-for-5 night from Alec friggin' Bohm, the night of a game of his life. I mean, good God, how can this? See, this is what's frustrating about this team, right? How can Alec Bohm be so middling bad and inconsistent, and then come up with a 5-for-5 night? I mean, that's like something you get the baseball from, right? On that 5th hit, somebody collects that ball for you and puts it in a case and writes your slash line from tonight on it. Alec Bohm, boy, 5-for-5. Jesus Christ. Jesus Luzardo, 6.5 very effective innings as they leads the Phillies over the Twins, and aided by 6 Twins walks as the Phillies win tonight to win their 21st series of the season. And that's probably the biggest news that I can give you tonight is that we got another series win under our belt. And the Phillies will look for the sweep tomorrow out there in Target Field against the Minnesota Twins. It's great to be back on the Fighting Spinal. I talked to you. I think I did the Field of Dreams game as a part of a twofer on Thursday night with the final word. Back here tonight, did the Birds Flyby just a few minutes ago. So cranking out the Matty B content here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network as it should be. That's right, as it should be. And it's good to come on here and talk about not only a win, but just a good old-fashioned dominating Phillies win, right? This is what this team is supposed to look like when all cylinders are firing at the same time. They bang out 9 runs, they bang out 13 hits, and they're aided by only one home run, and that was from Bryson Stott. Was it all sunshine and rainbows for the Phillies tonight? No. Right, we're still having some issues with this lineup when it comes to the construction. 0-for-5 tonight, as Kyle Schwarber really has left everything offensive minded about his game. Has left it in the before the All-Star break part of the season. He has not brought that with him. Maybe when he signed the Declaration of Independence there on the All-Star game, he was signing away his power. I don't know what's going on, but Kyle Schwarber continues to scuffle through the second half, and that is not a good thing at all. But for the others, we had a very consistent night. We're spreading out hits. We're driving in runs. 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. That's about 270-ish. I'll take that for the night. And, of course, Alec Bohm with the night of his life. The game of his life, a 5-for-5 evening for Bohm, helping power the Phillies to the win tonight and the series win over the Minnesota Twins, looking for the sweep tomorrow. As for the Twins, their pitcher, Prialip, didn't really fare well against us. The Phillies were kind of on him. Again, that 7-run 5th inning obviously blew things open. It was a nick and tuck game kind of up to that point, but you could see that the Twins were buckling. The Phillies were getting on base, they were getting hits. You were just waiting for that deluge to begin, and it started in the 5th as Prialip only lasted 5 innings, is credited with 8 runs of the Phillies' 9 here tonight as they got all over him in the 5th inning specifically. 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, and he gave up the 1 home run to Bryson Stott. As the Phillies pulled away with this game here tonight. It's great to be back on the Phillies post game here with you. Kind of washed my mouth out with some of the nonsense that happened earlier tonight with the Eagles. I was watching both games, obviously having to sort of be able to speak intelligently about both. But as I mentioned on the Eagles post game, if you turned for a second to watch the Phillies game and you went back to the Eagles game, the offensive series was over, and they were back on defense. I was like, wait, whoa, what the hell? It was just first down, man. So that was a frustrating part for me tonight, trying to keep up with the inept Eagle offensive attack and also keep up with what's happening out in Minnesota with the Phillies. But it's good to talk about a Phillies win here on the postgame tonight. MP says when Bowman Stott hit, this team wins. Isn't that the way, though, MP? We talked about this. We've been talking about it a lot lately. It's not the Schwarbers necessarily, or the Turners necessarily, or the Harpers necessarily of the world. You know, these are the core players that every team has, right? These are the types of players. LA has them. The Yankees have them. The Phillies have them. All these perennial teams have these like core players, that these superstar like elite type talents that you know what they're going to give you. They're going to hit. They're going to get theirs. But what separates and what makes these teams really good is what the complementary players do, what the role players do. And for the longest time, and still to date, it's still a problem. It's the lack of consistency from our role players. It's the lack of timely hitting from our role players that have really held this team back. And when Stott and Bohm have games like tonight, Christ, I don't know. I mean, can you ever expect anybody to have a 5 for 5? But whatever. But when they have productive games at the plate, everything balances out. Everything rounds into form, and you're not relying on the Turners and the Schwarbers and the Harpers. You're benefiting from their production. You're not relying on it. You're getting complementary contributions from your lesser players or your role players. I don't want to say lesser players, but your role players. And that's how you win championships, and that's how you sustain winning through a season. And the Phillies just have not been able to consistently do that. There's many theories of why Bohm and Stott and I guess Castellanos, why he was here, have not been able to sort of round into form. I'm a big fan of the fact that this lineup that they are in is so unbalanced and unstructured that they haven't found their niche in this lineup. For Bohm for 7 years, and Stott for 6. I mean, I'm telling you, when Alec Bohm, hopefully, cross my fingers, leaves this team in free agency and goes somewhere else, they put him in a spot in the lineup where an Alec Bohm belongs, where he can thrive down there in the 7 hole, in the 8 hole. Maybe he puts together a 265 to 270 season, gives you 15 home runs, drives in 75 runs. That's what a consistent Alec Bohm can do. There's no spot in this lineup for him because of the way the lineup is balanced in front of him. It's just unbalanced. It's imbalanced. It's all over the place. So that's my personal theory of why Bohm and Stott haven't necessarily rounded into form, because we haven't found a spot in the lineup where they belong. We keep moving them around. And that's just my own personal theory. But it is good to see when they both hit, the Phillies seem to win. This team is to give Stott a permanent spot in this lineup. Stop moving him up. I just freaking went over that, Dave. From your lips to my ears, Dave. I mean, I just literally went over that. But it's not necessarily something indicative to 2026. It's been Stott's problem the entire time he's been here. It's been Bohm's problem since he's been here. Was Bohm a 3-hitter? Was Bohm a 5-hitter? Was Bohm a 6-hitter? We've been trying him out in every spot in the lineup. Did they ever try? I think they tried him at 2 at one point. Bohm was a 7-hitter. Stott's an 8-hitter, in my opinion. But we don't have the luxury of putting them down there because we don't have other players that can sort of fill in their gap up there at 5 and 6. And again, I think that's one of the problems why Stott and Bohm have never developed with this team, or never taken that next step offensively with this team in terms of consistency. And when Bohm leaves, as I mentioned, at the end of the year, praise be to God if he does, signs a contract with somebody who says to him, Alec Bohm, you're our 7-hole hitter. I don't care if you're batting 750. I don't care if you're batting 1,000. You're never coming out of the 7-hole. Get comfortable. You're going to be there a while. And maybe that's what he needs to take that next step. Bohm hit 285 last year. To me, as a perfect 5. And that's the problem. He's not a 5 or 6 hole hitter. He's a 7-hole hitter. I don't know what has told you that Bowman. He's a free swinger. He's a first ball swinger. The hell are you talking about? He is not a perfect 5 or 6 hole hitter. He's a 7-hole hitter. He's a wild swinger, and he's a first ball hitter or swinger. You can't have that batting fifth or sixth. No, come on, man. Come on. Phillies win 9-1. MP trying to piss me off, man. Trying to piss me off on a Saturday night. On a good night, man. The Phillies won. I said I could wash the taste out of the Eagles game out of my mouth. All right, let's go to the box scores here for the Phillies. 9 runs on 13 sporadic but spread out consistently hits from the Twins. 1 run on 9 hits. We talked about the offensive standouts for the fighting Phillies. It is not hard for me to give it to Alec Bohm. 5 for 5 tonight. 2 runs scored. An RBI. Just raised his batting average by like 10 points. Hell of a night for Bohm. Stott comes in maybe at a nice little second place. He was only 1 for 3, but it was a big 1 for 3. It was the 3-run Jizak that kind of blew the game open. Even JT got into the hit act, and he also drove in 2 runs. But, Harper was 2 for 4 as well. But you got to give it. I'm not going to sit here and not give it to a guy that went 5 for 5. There's just no way in hell. Alec Bohm is my offensive standout tonight for the fighting Phillies. For the Twins, Luzardo and company, McFarland and Sugart spread out 9 hits amongst the Twin players. Keishel did have 2 hits for them, as well as Culpepper, but other than that, the Phillies were all over them. There was really no offensive pressure applied by the Twins except for that 1 inning there. I think it was the inning they scored the 1 run on the questionable homer there in the 6th. But other than that, it was a pretty quiet night offensively for the Minnesota Twins, courtesy of the Phillies pitching staff. And that pitching staff and the win tonight deservingly goes to Jesus Luzardo. 11-5 now on the year. 6.5, 7 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. 1 negative on Luzardo. 109 pitches through 6.5 innings is way too much, but he was pretty effective. Alex McFarland comes in, pitches an inning and a third, 1 hit, walks 1, and strikes out 3. As his stuff was looking really good. And then our boy Chase Sugart comes in and mop up duty and went an inning, gave up a hit, 1 walk, and struck out 2. We already went over the Twin starter. Funderburk, Morris, Minter, and Hoffman also pitching in relief for the Twins to no avail, as the Phillies were all over them. Scoring summary, JT Realmuto would get it going in the first with a sacrifice fly. Only the 11th sac fly RBI hit by it's not a hit, but the only successful sacrifice fly, the 11th successful sacrifice fly that resulted in a run for the Phillies in 2026. Pathetic. Jesus, that stinks. Luis Arraez would walk in the 5th, drive it in Realmuto to make it 2-0 as the Phillies would open things up in that 5th inning, a 7-run 5th inning. Bohm then would knock in Turner to make it 3-0. Stott would knock in Arraez to make it, and Harper to make it 5-0, and then Stott with that 3-run homer to blow it open, 8-0 as we were heading into the 6th inning. Lewis would then double in Jeffers to make it 8-1. There was a review on the play. Was it a home run? Was it not a home run? I honestly can't tell you without being at the ground rules meeting at the plate to tell you what a home run is or what a home run is not at Target Field. We go off of the general assumption that if it clears the wall or if it's a certain part of that, a railing up there, that it's a home run. But unless you're sitting at home plate when they're going over the ground rules, who the hell knows what a home run at Target Field is? But the call was upheld. It was not a home run. JT Realmuto would add an extra run in the 9th to make it 9-1, and that is how you get 9-1. Phillies were 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on base. The Twins were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Oof, that's Phillies level there. And they would leave 11 on base as another positive thing for the Phillies. No grounding into double plays tonight. 0. As the Phillies take the game 9-1, take the series now, put themselves in prime position tomorrow for the sweepage. It'll be Andrew Painter going against Dean Creamer at 2:10 p.m. local time out there in Minneapolis. So make sure you're there. And then here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, I will be back tomorrow as well, following up on this game. And I will, of course, take the trifecta of the series, as I had you on Thursday night on an emergency duty for Mike Laro. I had you tonight, and I got you tomorrow as well. So make sure you're here. And tomorrow's also Sunday. You know what that means? You know what that means, right? That means that's right. That down on the Phillies Farm Report, we roll on with our minor league assessment for the week and talk about everything that's happening in the second worst minor league system in all of baseball. It blows my mind that Lazaro throws the same pitch consistently, and guys chase it over and over again. It blows my mind. It's all about presentation out of the hand, right? It's all about deception, the way that ball's coming in. His stuff was working tonight, man. But you know what? He lives out on the edge a little bit. His break doesn't break too much. The fastball, he really has to live with deception. He's got to he keeps batters consistently thinking what he's going to throw next. And 9 times out of 10, it works for him. But when the batters figure him out, they jump all over him. But that's kind of the same for every different pitcher. But Lazaro's stuff was working very positively tonight for the Phillies as they get the win. So let's do the Broad Street bottom line. Then we'll do some round the bases, and then we'll wrap it up here. So let's go. So the Broad Street bottom line for this series to me is this heaven? No, it's not heaven. It's Iowa. Little Field of Dreams magic. Was this what the Phillies needed to kind of stave off of what was happening? They go out, spend a day or so in the cornfields, watch an elderly Steve Carlton walk through the cornfields, and now all of a sudden we're starting to swing the stick. And they're starting to put some runs on the board. They're starting to get productive at bats from just about everybody in the lineup, with the exception of Kyle Schwarber. Was this what it was? Is this Iowa magic? Is this Field of Dreams Part 2? Are they going to make a movie out of this? Are we going to be talking about the turning point of the 2026 season in November when we're all huddled together on Broad Street celebrating the third ever World Series championship in organizational history? Are we going to come back to this game, or come back to the Field of Dreams game as the turning point? Listen, funnier things have been known to happen. I'm not saying that we're going on some magic ride because we appeared on a movie set. I'm just saying this is the stuff that Hollywood and Hollywood movies are made of, that you could trace a Phillies magical second half run into a World Series championship to the Field of Dreams game. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself after just 2 games, but hey, you got to dream the dream big, right? So the Broad Street bottom line is give me some more Iowa magic as we hopefully take this thing down the line. And then listen, it's already yielded positivity, man. We got a series win. Absolutely serious right now, Dave. 100%. 100%. Why can't this be the start of something? Who knows, right? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, why can't it be? And when we're all together, of course, Dave, you'll be pointing fingers at the team as they're coming down Broad Street, cursing them. I don't know why, but you'll be doing that. We can all say, listen, it was that Field of Dreams game. It was that series. It was the Twins. It was Iowa. It was Moonlight Graham. It was Steve Carlton, and looking like he's 175 years old walking out of the cornfield. It was all of that propelled the Phillies to this World Series championship. I'm just saying, man. Who knows? Can I not dream? Does Matty B not have the ability to dream right now? Do I always have to be grounded in cynicism and reality? Well, I guess I do. But, I even dream. And maybe tonight or this series could be the start of a huge dream. I don't know. Not happening. You might be right. But the Phillies win 9-1, and they'll go for the sweep tomorrow. Andrew Painter looking to keep the good vibes happening again. Can he build off Aaron Nola's positivity? Have another quality start of his own? We'll see. Let's go around the bases. All right, we're going to roll around the bases on this Saturday night. We're going to start with games that have gone final. It was 4-1 Brewers over the Dodgers out in Chavez Ravine. It was the Red Sox 4-0 winners over the Pirates in Steel City. 10-3 Diamondbacks all over the Braves in Hotlanta. The Mariners 10-5 winners over the Astros down in Houston. It was 6-1 Guardians over the Padres in Cleveland. 8-4 Marlins as they continue to win over the Reds in Cincinnati. It was 4-3 Orioles beating the Rays down there in South Florida. And listen, I guess it's Central Florida, right? Is Tampa Central or Western Florida? What would you Central Western Florida? What would you consider Tampa geographically as part of the state of Florida? And how the hell did the Rays get 74? How are the Rays like one of the best teams in baseball record-wise? 74 wins? When did that happen? It was 5-4 Mets winners tonight against the Nationals in Queens. 7-1 the Giants over the Rockies. 4-1 Blue Jays beat the Yankees. 8-4 Cardinals over the Cubs. It was 4-3 White Sox over the Tigers. Games that are still actually going on as we speak. It is nothing. Royals Angels out in the Big A. They're going to the bottom of the sixth. It's 3-0 A's over the Rangers. They move to the bottom of the fourth in Sacramento. And that is your scores for this Saturday night. And, of course, in Minnesota, it was 9-1 Phillies winners over the Minnesota Twins. Phillies go for the series sweep tomorrow before coming home for a 3-game set against the Miami Marlins starting on Monday at Citizen Bank Park. This is your Fighting's final lineup for that series. Mike Laro will be back Monday night. Al will have you on Tuesday, and I will see you on Wednesday. And I think we're doing a twofer on Wednesday. I think I'm doing a Fighting's final / final word as 2-for-1 on Wednesday. So make sure you check your local listings for times and channels in your area. And tomorrow I will be back to finish this bad boy up as I got you on the rubber match, Twins and Phillies. So Phillies win 9-1, big win. Again, wash the taste of that Eagles game out your mouth. And let's move forward into a series victory tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday night. It's been a pleasure spending the last hour or so with you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget at 9 o'clock, the Philly AM show, sports show with Big Al and Mike will come at you. And then I will be back for the Fighting's final a little bit later in the afternoon. And then tomorrow night, when you put the kiddies to bed, let's join me for the final word as we'll recap everything that's been going on in the Philadelphia sports world since the last time we spoke, which I guess was on Wednesday. I don't remember. It was Wednesday or Thursday. But we'll be back tomorrow with the final word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. So until I talk to you again tomorrow afternoon, you guys have a great Saturday night. Take care. And after every Phillies win, before I can say adios, I got to ask this gentleman one very important question, and here it is. Harry the K, what do you got?